Okay, welcome back to the channel Papa Knows. Today we're going to build a 12 by 16. It's an outdoor gazebo. We had one blow down a year ago in a tornado. So we've got this one. We're going to go ahead and start the assembly on it. There'll be something in the beginning shows you what the picture looks like. But right now we've got 4 of us out here, and the paperwork says you need at least 3. So we've added our options here a little bit. So we're going to get started on a 12 by 16 outdoor gazebo. What we're going to do is we're putting together a 12 by 16 pavilion. The last one we had was blown down by a tornado. So the reviews that we read on this particular model was that this is pretty thin, and in the high winds it bends and it doesn't work out so well. So what we're going to do is, we haven't put it up yet, but this is how it goes. The foot pad goes on the bottom. We're going to take that off. What we've done, we've made a jig, and then we've cut a piece of 4x4 on this triangle shape. Just you can stand on that. Okay. So this would fit up inside, and this is going to give it a little extra strength. So it's going to go like this, and then the foot pad's going to fit on the bottom, just like this. And then we'll be able to screw into that. It also will give us an opportunity if we want to put like a sitting area, a bar area at the front of the gazebo or the front of the pavilion. I mean, that'll give us something to screw into other than this real thin metal. So that's what we're going to do. So what we have done is we've made a jig here. Step up so you can see this. We've cut some blocks and made it so these 4x4s will fit down in here. And we needed to get a certain angle. So by cradling that in those 90s, that will give us an opportunity here to cut this 4x4 off, and then that will fit that triangle post. So what we've done, taken our chainsaw, and most chainsaw bars have a hole in the end of it down here. Just like, I don't know if you can see it in the light, this bar right here. Okay, so what we've done is we put a bolt in here, and then put a running board on top of the hay wagon here. And this we'll set it like this, and then use this as a way to level the chainsaw. So we can take and put a level on this. Can you see that on the camera there?
Yep.
Okay, that's got a little, that needs to be wiped off a little bit, but that's pretty close to being level there. Just like that. That's pretty close for what we're doing. So we'll start the chainsaw, we'll run it along, letting it rest on this, and then we'll use that bolt as the level, and then we'll be able to cut this off, which will end up making it, make another version of this right here. So you can take a look at the end of it. This is what this is what we're shooting for. That's what it's going to be. So before we cut the angle on it, what we're going to do is we're going to cut the length. Now, these posts are not a full 8 feet, but hand me the tape measure from down there, wait. Well, that bird is really happy tonight. So, I don't know if you can see it or not, but see these holes right here? Can you see that up there? Those are the screws. This is where the header boards are going to bolt into. So what we got to do is we can't run this wood up past there. Those, they're called screw nuts, they stick in about 1/2 inch. So we're going to measure this, and this comes to about 63 inches to the bottom of that. So we're going to cut all these 4x4s off at 63 inches is what we're going to do. Okay, cut that. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut this off at 63 inches. So we got 5'3" right here. We're going to make that 63, and then we'll put a straight edge on that. put our cut-off 4x4 down in here, and by putting it in the little jig here, that cradles it, holds it pretty steady for what we're going to do. We're going to start it, set it on like this, have it held down here, and then we're just going to zip that off. And we'll do that 3 times. Okay, so this is our 4th one. We've got 3 of them over here. This was the last one. It doesn't have to be real pretty looking. It just has to fit. This is what it's supposed to look like on the end here. You want to have a little bit of slop on this because this foot pad, these tabs have to go on the inside. So they'll fit on the inside of this. So you want to be able to have a little bit of slop all directions. So that'll fit right on there. We'll be able to put the screws through that. That'll hold this thin metal to a portion of what's left of the 4x4, treated 4x4. And that'll give us something if we want to, have a sitting area and we want to have a platform across there, we'll be able to screw into this. Instead of just screwing into some thin metal, we'll be able to screw right into a treated 4x4.
Okay, it looks like it does come with an instruction manual here. So we're going to turn to the first page that we're going to try to use here. And it gives the instructions of what we're going to need for each of the pages, for each of the steps. And then in the back is, hold that down please. In the back is a list of all the stuff that's in all the different cartons if you need to look at that. First thing we're going to do is put those wood pieces that we made into the metal frames, and then we're going to put the foot pads on the end of the metal frames.
All right, so we talked about this the other day where we cut the 4x4s to fit inside this to give it a little more stability. When you get these, the paperwork will tell you that these tabs are bent in a little bit and they won't fit into this like they're supposed to, and they say to straighten these. So you just need a wide nose pair of pliers and bend them back a little bit and then check and we'll see if that fits in. Now that fits in that fine. So the question is, will it fit over what we made? Now this one, it's a little, oh, that's gonna fit perfect right there. So we're gonna slap it on like this. Would you get a hold of that piece, please? Thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and feed it in. We're only putting this wood in because of some of the reviews that we saw where they said it wouldn't stand up to the wind that well. We're trying to make it so we don't have to do it again. So right now, that fits perfect. So what we're going to do is take a drill, and we picked a size that was just small enough that we're not going to affect the threads in here. And what we're going to do is drill into this. Right there. Okay. I'm going to drill into this, and we're going to put the 3 screws in. You don't have to go very deep with it. These screws are, they're about 3/4 of an inch in length. But anyway, this paperwork's going to tell you not to tighten everything up. Just put it in loose because there's going to have to be some movement as you're putting it all together. So we're going to start with this. I'm going to rotate this, and then we're going to drill the next hole and just do this 3 times. And the second.
Pop.
Oh, good. Thank you. We'll have the second column done. The paperwork shows that you need a pair of gloves, a drill motor, and one other thing. I personally don't like using a drill motor when it's something this thin. I think it gives too much of an opportunity to strip the threads out. It may take a little bit longer, but I don't have to go in and try to put some type of a nut behind it. Hang on to it, please. Okay, so we're not going to tighten them up. We're just putting them in there so they're loose. We just don't want it falling apart until we get the other parts of the, what I would call the header boards on to start the framework. So we're going to stop with that, and then we'll put this off to the side. And we'll get the next step on this. We got our 4 corner posts put together with the extra wood that we decided to use, and following the directions. They're looking for a B1. All of these parts are labeled. So far, I'm pretty impressed with it. So we've got B1, we need a part labeled P, and then the next one labeled B. And follow your pictures in here, pretty simple. So this is gonna slide inside like this. Line up your holes. We'll put a couple screws in that just to keep it steady. Well, a beautiful day to work on something like this. And I'll probably say it 100 times, but the book said it about 100 times, or the paperwork said don't tighten it up, put everything together loose, and once it's all together, you go back and secure it. Okay, that's enough to hold it. So let's go ahead and slide this next piece in. Just like that. Should fit perfect. That looks pretty good. And we can start back here. We'll put a couple screws in. And this, if you were building this out of wood, this would be what they call the header boards. None of those are tight, that's pretty loose. That gotta work just fine. So if you were looking at the book, right here, you've got B1, piece P, and then B. So you wanna make sure you put them together just like they're showing. And then they're looking at four screws here in the P part, and that's exactly what we did. We got 2 here and 2 here, and then you do the same thing on the other side. All right, so next step on this would be to put in at the bottom of these, we got a couple more screws here that go, one to go into B and one into B1. So if you bring your camera around here, you'll be able to see this back here.
And we didn't put any wood in this piece.
That's correct, there's no wood in this piece, but it's showing hang on. There we go. And what you're doing is you're screwing into the part that was labeled P, and this just gives a little more support down here on the bottom. Because the B1 and B together, because we're going to need them for opposite sides. Since they were in a box like that, we're going to go ahead and put those together, and then we'll switch to the C1 and C. Okay. Push it in there. There you go. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to put together the other side of the header boards. We're going to do the C and the C1 for the opposite side. That way we have 2 of the B's and 2 of the C's put together. We'll be ready to start mounting them to the corner posts.
And the P's are both in the middle.
Yep.
Okay, so the next step is to start to put this thing together.
All right, so what we're going to do, you got to pick a spot to start somewhere. With our other pavilion that we had here, this was part of it. We have a bunch of electrical stuff down here that comes up through the concrete, so we're not moving this. So we're going to start with this corner first, and then we're going to make everything else, we're going to make it fit like that. So we're going to do the front part here first. This will be the 12-foot piece, and then we'll be working on the 16-footers here in a minute. But this is where we're going to start. So we're going to put these screws in just real easy. Perfect. Is that taken? Let me see.
Yeah.
No, that did not take. Move your finger so I can see.
There's a screw right there that's
Yeah,
holding
I
that one
know.
back.
I gotta move over.
I was kind of holding it up. But...
Oh, good. Good job.
I bet Jess's corner will be stable enough now to
Here we
go.
are. We're putting the other side of our 16-foot on. And like I said before, we're not tightening them up. We're just putting them in loose. We're going to have to move it around, I'm sure, to make it all fit. So what we're going to do now, we got the initial, the uprights, the A's, and then we got the B1, C1, all that stuff. We got the square made like this, so the next step on this is going to be put on H1 and H2. These are little stabilizers that'll help. So we're going to work our way around, and we're going to start in this corner over here with H1. We're going to put the corner supports on. Keep something in mind, you need to have your book out because now we've changed screws. We went from the hex head down to a Phillips head screw now. So you want to make sure you got your right pack. What we did is we opened up the pack and we just put them all together. That's easier than digging through the plastic. So we're going to go ahead and mount those.
You didn't put all the different kinds of screws together.
No, I did not. We only have the screws that we're using for that particular part right now, which is going to be the supports. Good, looks good. Okay, so we're going to put them in loose just like we did the others. So that was an H1, so now we're looking for an H2. Cut. Okay.
I'm just screwing in the H2 and the flaps are so this one is the opposite of what that one was so that it will fit the pieces of metal better.
That's good enough on that. Let's go ahead and get this here.
Perfect.
Use your screwdriver to get it in there. That's good. Okay, another one. What a pretty day.
So we're finishing up the last of the H1s and H2s, and then we're getting ready to start the H pieces that go between there.
Mama dropped
Right
it.
there.
There you go.
Yep, the one that goes across the top.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can see the first one's in over there in that corner. And for those, you go back to your first screws that you were using initially. This is the last H piece going up here.
Yeah.
Next screw,
please.
please. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next thing we're going to do are the K and K1 pieces. Those use a new set of screws, the number 4s that are 8 by 12. So we have the K1 pieces here, and then the K pieces are over here. So we're going to be putting those on.
Oh, can you get it like that? Okay, go ahead.
I don't have any. Thank you.
Yeah, go on, smack it. You can see to do the bottom ones here. Should we use your ladder? To line them up?
No.
So we're getting these K1 pieces up on the corners. And the K pieces are, which is this? Oh, these are the K1 pieces. The Ks are on the corners, but they're getting all those put
We
in.
need 2 more screws down.
Okay, so this part hanging these little U-bolt U-hangers here. This seems to be a little bit trickier, but we think this means that you put 9 on the back row and 9 on the front row, and then 7, 7. You can read on around there. But looking at this, it looks like you want some on the back and some on the front. So that's what we're doing over here. Just sliding up into these grooves here that they have on each of the spots.
And this one is the front one, and then there's little openings, and that'll get closed off eventually. And then these are all on the back row. And I've been sliding them that way, and then these ones that way.
Okay, to put in the bracket that's going to hold all of these curtain hangers in place, we took this middle screw out, and this bracket like this will go on. We'll put the screw in, and then we'll show you on the other side. This bracket here is gonna keep all of this from slipping out. It won't be able to come out. It'll come up against that and hit. So we just took the one screw out. We're gonna go ahead and put it in. Go ahead. That's good for right now until we tighten them up. All right, we're gonna go ahead and put this, what do they call this, the V letter?
Yeah.
We're gonna put that bracket in, and that's what's gonna keep these hangers from coming out, but we're gonna take the center screw out. Does that look right?
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah, go ahead and tighten him up. Right there. How's that look?
Great.
Oh, it's perfect. Okay, so what we're going to do here, this is the E bracket, and this is the U3 bracket. You know, we're following along on page, I don't even know if it's got a page, 22. So what we're going to do, it's going to look, what we're putting together is this part right here. Pick your end up just a little bit. Okay. We're going to put some of this together down here where it's a little easier to see. Pick it up a little bit. Thank you. Because what they give you is a Allen wrench to tighten these up with, since the screwdriver won't fit in there. That's too much, just down. Okay, perfect.
So we're getting all the E's and U3s put together to get ready to put them up on the roof. So there should be 4 of these combinations.
So now we have 3 of the beams,
EU3s.
the EU3s, and we're working on screwing those in. We had a person on the hot tub board, person on the ladder, and then a person right there holding that beam to there, and then somebody holding that one, and then that one. Now we're working on our fourth beam.
Okay, we're getting the last of these screws.
So now we are putting
Oh.
the piece number M up there, as in Matthew. And we're putting the U-bolt in.
You probably ought to have a little wrench for that, you think? That's pretty tight though.
Here you go.
Oh, look at that.
And we have another person holding and bracing that up. Now we are working on
Oh, there it is. I see it.
screwing in the hook. And you can probably get a better view from right there. And he is doing the same thing on his side.
All right. I'm gonna leave my hook like this. That's fine. Okay.
No,
Thing here.
okay, so to give you a closer look up here at the top, we got the hook, we got the U-bolt, and we got the other hook here. And then he's putting a screw right here in the top. So we got the L piece on the bottom and the M piece on the top. Okay, so we're doing these N pieces now along here. This is G5, and then we're getting ready to attach them all together here at the corner. And then on the sides, we got G6 going along the end there. So we'll show you the picture here, but it's a little hard to figure out how they all go together, but we'll try to explain it here in a minute. Okay, so we're putting the last of these pieces in for this lower level of support around there. So she's putting a screw into the G6 piece end right there, and then we're going to do the last one going from there across to there. And that's another piece called G5.
Put the metal together here.
Onto this G5 at the end there. So I'll show you the book now to show you what you were talking about.
I'm gonna need Jessica up here.
Yep, I'm right there.
So over here, it was showing.
No, don't.
Okay, so this was the pieces we were showing, this G5 going across and then G6 going across there. So they got a photo here. So you got the corner piece, and then you layer the G5, the G6, and then the end piece, and this one screw goes through the whole thing to support these corner pieces here. So it is actually working out pretty good. Okay, so we've been doing the top pieces here. So we've been overlapping them, and I'll show you in a second how we're putting the Z1 and Z pieces on the edges. And then we had to loosen the top piece, piece M, up there in order to get the pieces to slide up in there correctly. So now he needs that D piece back behind you there. Okay, so we're passing the D piece up there, and then they're going to need a couple of the screws. They're the same ones we've been using the whole time. The
Take that sticker off there for me, will you?
M1s. So the Z pieces over here, you gotta look. So this is like an S1. So then you gotta go to the book here. And so for S1, it wants a Z here and a Z here. Some of them use the smaller Z1s on the edges, and it'll tell you in the book where to put a Z1 and where to put a Z. And then on the Z pieces, they have little tabs here, and that's what you slide on the pieces. So it'll slide on, it's a little hard to see, but it slides on like this. So it's gonna slide on and click in place like that. And then another one will go up there, and that helps to hold the edge pieces in place. Okay, so they got that end piece up, and then they got that piece on the bottom of it there, and they're going to screw it in place in the middle. The corners we're waiting until we get all four edges up so that we can adjust the corners a little bit better. Okay, so we got the whole top section on here now, and we're getting ready to put the corners together. And it's another one of the pictures here where you get the number one type screw going through the multiple layers into the end there, just like the last one was. So we're just trying to get all the ends of the corners here lined up and put that screw through there. It's definitely helpful to have several people. Okay, so now we're putting together these F pieces. So again, they have a diagram for these lower level pieces going up here, and they do overlap each other on the corners and in between. So you don't want to put them together very tight. Here's the diagram here for how, so we got the F3 piece up and then F2 and F1 so far, and then we're going to work our way on around the edges, again using the same screws that we have been. Okay, so we got all the F pieces up and around, and we're just going back around, tightening some of them up a little bit, just because we're getting ready to put the rest of the metal pieces on the roof. So he's going around and tightening each of those up a little bit more. And then we're going to be starting, we've decided we're going to start on this R side here. So each of these pieces that go along the top get those little Z brackets or Z1 brackets also. And there was diagrams in the book of each one of them as to what piece gets which thing put on it. Okay, so we did start on the roof last night. We did the very top section, and then we started on this side, which is marked as R. So on the paper down here, there was a lot of flipping back and forth, but the two that we didn't get done are R9 and R10. And you have to put those little Z pieces on the side, so we'll go over that in a minute. And then if you flip on down here, you can see the whole R side, the way it goes together there. So we started at R1 and we're going down to R10. And over here is R9 that we're getting ready to put up. These are the Z pieces here. You can see they have the little clips on the bottom, and that slides over the top section here. They were a little tricky to learn how to put on, and now I'm working with my left hand here, but there we go. So it slides on like that, and they stay on relatively well. We did have to pinch a couple of them shut with the pliers to keep it on there, but for the most part they stayed on pretty well. And then you slide it up on there, and these bottom pieces, they don't fall out like the top pieces did, which is nice. When we were trying to put it up, it looks fairly complex as far as what screws you're using, but what we found is that this middle bar here, they always use the long screws, and this lower section here, they use the short screws. So there's really only two size screws, even though the paper is kind of complex on how to put it in, and each one of them gets these little black Y pieces in between here, both there and also here at the middle section. So we're going to keep putting the roof sheets together, and then they just slide in up there at the top. Okay, so we're inside the gazebo now, and we're putting the very last R piece here on the end. So you can see how those little Z pieces that we put on the corner of it go up inside there, and then it kind of slides into place. And you can see that hole there. That's where we're going to put this Y piece up in there, and it helps to have one on the inside and one on the outside, a person on the inside and the outside. And then it also helps when you have two hands. That's why we haven't been videoing it too much of the time. So he's got it on the outside now, and then we're going to get one of these screws here to put through it. So you can see the screw come through the end of it there. And then it gets the little end cap on it here. So we're going to try to screw that in place. And then they give you the little wrench to hold it in place. Okay, I got the wrench on, so they tighten it then from the outside. So it helps to have a person on the outside of the roof and a person on the inside of the roof. And the same process for these further up here. They just get the longer screws.
Okay, so what we did here on the time lapse, we went ahead and put on this R side of the panels, and all that went fairly well. Now the reason we didn't do the ends, we're missing two panels, the Q3s, the one for the front and the one for the back. Evidently did not get in the box. We've contacted the troubleshooters, and they're saying to give them 4 or 5 days and they'll find out if they can ship some from China, but they're looking for them right now. But right now we're missing 2 panels. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put on what we can on the front, and we'll see what we're going to do about the back. Kind of hate to put everything on missing 2 panels. There's one on the front, one on the back, but we're going to see what we can do. That's what we need. Okay. All right, so what we're doing, nowhere in the book does it say to do this, but we wanted a little more height on these side panels. So we've added 1.5 inches of treated lumber, cut it out to the fit of the foot pad, and then what we're doing now is we're drilling these with a Tapcon drill. And what we're doing, we need to go about 1/4 inch deeper than what our screws are. So this is just something we use to check it. We're up here, we need about 3 1/4 inches. So right there is 3 1/4, perfect. That's what we need. I may take it just a little bit deeper because there's probably some powder down in there. We try to blow it out with an air compressor, but sometimes it doesn't always get all of it out. But we're going to run the Tapcon screws down in there. We'll finish this up. We've done one. This is our second one. I'm sure that's deep enough now. Perfect. Well, we can blow it out, I guess. One more time. So when you put these in, you want to make sure you're using a hammer drill. This drill has both features, but the paperwork says if you're going to put it in concrete, use a hammer drill. Okay, so we're back again. The final panels from China showed up, and only took a couple of months, multiple emails, but they're here now. So we have 2 panels, the Q3 panels we're going to stick back in, and hopefully they're the right ones. So we'll be right back. Okay, so we got the last 2 pieces in that we were waiting on from China. Both of them needed to be trimmed just a little bit, not much. We used a high cycle with a cutoff blade on it, measured it out, trimmed them out. And you can tell by looking at the inside up here on the top, pan through that. But they all fit like, you know, just last 2 with a little bit of trim, and the system's done now. So we'll get a picture of it once we get everything else picked up. Thanks for watching the channel. Have a nice day.